Wild Talents, by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 26e. In the New York Times, July 4, 1931, was published a report by Monsieur Roland of the Municipal Council of Paris. It will be noticed that rabies has almost entirely disappeared, although the number of dogs has increased. From 166,917 dogs in Paris in 1924, the number has risen in 1929 to 230,674. In spite of this marked increase, only 10 cases of rabies in animals were observed. There were no cases of rabies in man. Sometimes it is my notion that there never has been a case of hydrophobia, as anything but an instance of personal witchcraft. But there are so very many data for thinking that a disease in general is very much like an individual case of the disease, in that it runs its course and then disappears, quite independently of treatment, whether by the poisoned teat of a cow, or the dried sore of a mummy, that I suspect that once upon a time there was, to some degree, hydrophobia. When I was a boy, pitted faces were common. What has become of smallpox? Where are yellow fever and cholera? I'm not supposed to answer my own questions, am I? But serums, say the doctors. But there are enormous areas in the Americas and Europe where vaccines have never penetrated. But they did it, say the doctors. Eclipses occur, and savages are frightened. The medicine men wave wands, the sun is cured, they did it. The story of diseases reads like human history, the rise and fall of Black Death, and the appearance and rule of smallpox, the tubercular empire, and the united afflictions of yellow fever and cholera. Some of them passed away before serums were thought of, and in times when sanitation was unpopular. Several hundred years ago there was a leper's house in every good-sized city in England. 100 years ago there had not been much of what is called improvement in medicine and sanitation, but leprosy had virtually disappeared in England. Possibly the origin of leprosy in England was in personal witchcraft, or that if the Bible had never devastated England, nobody there would have had the idea of leprosy, that when wicked doubts arose, the nasty suspicions of people made them clean. So it may be that once upon a time there was hydrophobia. But the indications are that most of the cases that are reported in these times are sorceries wrought by the minds of victims upon their bodies.